We live in an era when 3D printing is becoming mainstream and 4D is being piloted. An era when driverless cars hit the headlines and countries have more electric charging points than gas stations. It's also an era when superficial news make more noise than the screams of thousands of people suffering all over the world from injustice, discrimination, and violence.
Today, we're going to tell you the stories of 59 superheroes. No, they don't wear tights and red capes, nor can they fly. In fact, most of them barely understand the English we speak now. This is the story of Fadma, Khadija, Mohammed and Samir, and more than 10,000 people we have met this year. Stories of individuals like you and I.
To bring you our story, we started from our own backyard, Morocco. Today, we're not only students, but entrepreneurs. Not only do we represent our school, or the 4,000 Enactus students from Morocco, but a whole generation of kids who are not taken seriously because of their age. But if being a kid means making an impact and changing the world, then let us be kids.
We have decided this year to focus on transforming a whole village to empower its people to create the solutions they need.
From sustainable housing and infrastructure, to reducing gas emission, to cutting budget deficit and increasing inclusion and participation. This is the story we're proud to tell you today.
It is said that it takes a village to raise a kid. We say it takes a kid to revolutionize a village.
My name is Sumia,
Asamdin.
Imran.
and we are Enactus Hassaniya School of Public Affairs.
And our story started like this.
In 2016, the Moroccan government has spent more than $5 billion on rural infrastructure in rural areas, including hospitals and other much relevant facilities such as schools and centers.
This cost is extremely high, and most of the rural areas cannot afford paying this much money for infrastructure.
Now, how can impoverished community cater for their own needs and find the resources to build much-needed facilities at a very affordable price?
To answer this question, our 2016 Enactus journey took us on the road to the south of Morocco to a tiny village called Aguim.
Aguim is a village roughly around 2 hours south of Marrakesh, in one of the most secluded areas of the country. You may have envisioned this picture of Marrakesh as a trendy and fancy place with exotic flavors and scenery where everyone dreams of spending their New Year's Eve. Aguim is more like this. Would you like to live there?
Well, I would not. Why would I want to live in the middle of nowhere? What about my career, my education? Meet Mohammed. Mohammed is a member of Al Qura Association, a 20-member strong NGO based in Aguim. Meet the partner.
We bonded with Mohammed, Omar, and Samir and they started telling us about their daily life there. Aguim is a village, part of a rural district of 3 other villages with a population of 10,000 people. Through our need analysis, we discovered the following.
The average monthly income in Aguim is less than $100 per family. The unemployment rate has reached 90% among young people and women, and almost half the population is still illiterate.
Aguim, like every secluded village in the world, suffers from a lack of infrastructures, with no sports or cultural facilities, only one school, and a mostly non-equipped infirmary with only one doctor for over 10,000 people.
Aguim is also very hot during summer and very cold during winter, leading to extreme weather conditions.
Meet Fadma. Imagine yourself as Fadma, a widow with 5 underage children. Her eldest son left for the city, and she has a loan to feed the whole family.
Meet Abdelghani. He's 5 years old, and he has to wait until he's 6 to go to school because there is no kindergarten.
Meet Hamza, a 20-year-old young man with a high school diploma, but he doesn't do much.
Well, I think you've got the story. Aguim isn't the only place like this. Aguim is just an example of thousands of villages all over low and middle income countries.
Now, if you were us, what would you do? Despite this very dark and unpleasant image, there is actually a lot of hope. This hope lies in 2 main factors people usually take for granted: soil and kindness.
Wait a minute, I'm kind of lost. You were just telling us about a village that is a complete nightmare with no reason to live in. And now you can make it better using just soil and kindness. Seriously, what's going on?
Well, that's how our team saw the opportunity. We have spent many months living and interacting with the citizens of Aguim. We had the chance to speak to almost everyone: youth, women, the kids, the elderly, local government, local shop owners, and then we started collecting suggestions about what were their most pressing needs. We first thought about building a library where almost no one would go. then an internet cafe. But was it really going to solve the problems they had and create the real change they needed?
And after many weeks of in-depth immersion, we all came to the conclusion that the village was in an extreme need of economic opportunities for youth and women, fostering social inclusion inside their communities, and improving their working and living conditions.
So, what would be the best solution to empower the people of Eguim, improve their livelihoods, and provide some real change in economic growth with some real entrepreneurial action to the people?
The question you might be asking now is why didn't they do it on their own before we intervened?
Well, do you remember the soil and kindness? That's the trick. Our challenge was to be able to build a space that could accommodate all of these needs and provide a solution that is affordable, eco-friendly, energy-saving, and fully sustainable.
And the answer is quite simple. Using rammed soil as a raw material, we developed a construction technique that consists on stacking bags filled with a mixture of 90% of rammed soil and only 10% of cement. In fact, this concept that we called Ecodome saves up to 45% of the usual construction cost and 50% of its duration compared to reinforced concrete buildings.
Not only this, its thermal and acoustic insulation characteristics makes it a perfect place to enjoy freshness during summer and warmth during the cold winter. Remember, the extreme weather conditions.
So, let us summarize. We have lots of issues to solve, a super engaged community, and an innovative, highly scalable, low-cost concept that was developed.
And our idea was to build the first incubator multi-facility center in the middle of nowhere that could offer space for children for after-school activities, job training programs to youth, literacy courses to women, income-generating activities, and startup support programs. We estimated the cost of building the center at $11,000.
The business model for Ecodome was based on a blended market by offering two types of products, a low-cost one for $150 per square meter and a premium one for $250 per square meter, serving our two segments of clients, those who can't afford the cost of normal construction and those interested in ecotourism. And that's not all.
Of course not. 30% of the net profit generated serves to cross-subsidize building ecodomes for much-needed infrastructures in rural areas in Morocco and sub-Saharan Africa.
All of much needed areas in Morocco and sub-Saharan Africa.
This first contract provided us with a net profit of $1,700, which served as the base for our Eguim Center.
We were able to generate the remaining funds for the center through our corporate partners and supporters, and we even started receiving many orders from clients in Morocco and Senegal. As a result, we generated the $9,300 that was missing, and with much resilience and enthusiasm, we made it happen.
Now, we had everything: the soil, the kindness, and the resources to make it all happen.
And we did.
Through our partnership with the association, we selected and trained its members to be able to provide for themselves and their families while learning new sets of skills that would make them fully empowered and qualified to be launched in a new market worldwide.
We selected 13 outstanding young men from the village to become our first group of trainees and learn our soil construction technique. With all the engineering done from our side, we were surprised to see that these people went even beyond and improved our process. We then decided to empower them more and appoint 3 of them as site managers.
مستقبلا غيكون مزيان بالنسبه ليا حتى انا نيت غيكون عندي تجربه في هذا الشيء غادي ناخذ واحد التجربه زوينه والحمد لله مزيان والله الا فرحت فاش شفت هذا البروجيكت.
The whole project was a community revolution on its own. The whole construction was done by locals and only local businesses were involved. A real circular economy. Imagine what $11,000 can do in a community that earns barely nothing. As a result, the project created 43 direct and indirect jobs and business opportunities to 40 local businesses, generating revenue to over 30 people.
All of these people have seen their net income increase by 50%. And since March, more than 500 villagers actually were building with us the center and making sure this dream happens. After 3 months, our center was up and running and already welcoming its first knowledge-savvy customers.
Our multi-facility center empowered 100 citizens so far to develop their skills and find new venues for employment opportunities. Thanks to the center, Hamza launched a tutoring program for the kids of the village and Abd Karim a creativity class for kindergarten.
The center is also a playground for over 5,000 primary and high school students from the whole rural district, as a place to enjoy extracurricular activities and improve the quality of education.
And we did not stop there. The center will also generate revenue based on providing numerous services, Wi-Fi space, tutoring programs, and shops for local services. Thus, the center will be financially sustainable and will employ 2 people as full-time staff to manage the day-to-day operations. The 100 families paying the $2 monthly subscription fees and the income generated by the services, plus the 10% support from the government, will ensure that the center will generate its annual $5,000 operation costs without any of our help. This is empowerment.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's not only about building a community center, it's a whole community transformation.
Aysam, we spoke about young people and kids involved in the project, but is it really inclusive?
Very much so. During our needs assessment, we met with Fadma, who kindly hosted us.
Fadma endures very harsh conditions, high temperature, and lots of toxic smokes in a tiny place, just to earn a living and to survive in a place such as Agwim.
بحال يوم السبت كان السبت يا رحت يدونش والله حنا
تحطبوا وتجيبوا على داركم.
على ظهرنا كان اللي كيهز بزاف كاين اللي كيهز شويه كل واحد على حسب
تخاخ الخدمه كيحرق لكمش في عينيكم.
يحرقونا في عينينا وفي صدرنا وفي كل شيء.
Unfortunately, Fadma is just one example of many other women of the village, of hundreds of women of the village who are using wood, not only to make bread, but also to cook some of their meals, as they can't afford using cooking gas 3 times a day.
We needed a solution that would enable these women not only to decrease their energy consumption, but that would also increase their revenues. We came up with Ecoheat.
Ecoheat is a disruptive, eco-friendly, and innovative bag made of cellulose webbing that keeps temperature for a very long time.
Well, how does this thing work?
Well, no magic. You only need to put your meal on fire for 20 minutes until it reaches its boiling temperature. Then put it inside the bag and let it to finish cooking. You can try it with everything: meat, pasta. We're even thinking of trying pizza.
Also, our bags are certified by the National Institute of Hygiene in Morocco, and we're also in process of filling up an IP.
So now that we have the solution, we need to make a business out of it. How about teaching these women to use the sewing skills not only to make their bags, but to generate revenue from them? We had to look for courageous, committed, and financially in need women to take the journey with us. We held the first meeting and more than 30 came. We then had to choose the 5 most self-motivated, committed, and skilled ones to be our first entrepreneurs.
In only a few months, our project employed 10 women who sold their products to more than 100 families who are now using it to decrease their energy consumption and avoid inhaling toxic fumes. To make it affordable, we set $5 as a selling price in rural areas, while we sell the same product for $12 in cities. By doing so, we subsidize our product to make it affordable for our most needy customers to purchase.
The villagers in Agwim empowered us to launch 2 social businesses, Ecodam and Ecoheat. Ecodam, an innovative construction startup that uses soil instead of bricks and reinforced concrete to build much essential infrastructure in developing countries at a very affordable cost. This year, the business generated 19 direct jobs, $30,000 revenue, and more than $180,000 in pre-orders.
Ecoheat, an innovative slow cooking solution that helped reduce the gas and wood consumption. This year, Ecoheat created 10 jobs and generated $1,300 revenue. And we're having an exclusive discussion with Unilever to purchase 500 bags as gifts for their retailers and partners for an amount of $6,000. We are also very proud to say that Ecoheat was selected as one of the Ford Innovation Challenge recipients and won $15,000 to scale our project nationally.
Scaling? How?
Well, in 2016, Morocco has spent so much money on rural infrastructure in Morocco. If a 20-bed medical facility costs around $100,000, our model would make it only cost $55,000 or even less, as we cross-subsidize the costs. With only 10 clients, we're able to build a full facility and even more, which means that we're not only profitable, but we create impact everywhere.
And to make the project fully sustainable, 2 of our team members created the company and launched their and made the workers franchise the technique. So now, out of the 90 people we have empowered this year, 6 of them are able to build their own houses and domes by the end of this year.
saving the best for the last, we're also very proud to announce that our projects will be presented at the United Nations COP22 convention this November in Marrakesh as examples of successful startups fighting climate change and creating economic growth.
Ladies and gentlemen, this year we have successfully launched 2 social businesses, created 59 jobs, generated $13,000 in revenues, secured $33,000 in funding, and invested $12,000, impacting the lives of 1,000 people. This was our miracle from us to you. We are civil engineers building a better world from Morocco to us all. We are Enactus Hassaniya School of Public Affairs, and we are the Hope Makers.
Thank you. Lovely presentation and nice projects. Would you mind just clarifying for me? You referred to profits from the Ecodome being reinvested, and I'm not 100% sure I understand where the profits come from. Do you charge for the building of the domes, or where do the profits come from? Because the space seems to be used as a social space, so I didn't understand the business model there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ecodome is basically a company that does ecological construction. So, for example, if we have a client that wants to build a house in, I don't know, his land or anything, then we take some of the profit as any normal company. Then a percentage of our profit, which is 30% of the profit, is used actually to build infrastructures for people who can't afford it. And this was the case, for example, in Agwim. Well, we built a center. So we built an Ecodome in Sidi Alla al-Bahrawi for individuals who bought a house for himself, and then took some of the profit, looked for other funding, and built a center for people for free.
And I should add also that we already have in pre-orders for ecological touristic resources. For example, in Marrakesh, we already have an order for an amount of 1.2 million dirhams, which is the equivalent of $12,000.
$120 actually.
Yeah, it's just one result.
Hi, I'm interested in the sustainability of the building of the dome that you have. What sort of testing did you do to ensure that it can endure the environments that you're building it within?
So in each case, when we want to build a dome, we have to go through a very precise process where we ask for permissions, check with architects and engineers that this is a very sustainable building, that it's not going to fall. And we have done the tests. When we started working on our projects, we were civil engineering schools. We have done all the tests in our schools and then also went to other architects and engineers to validate that this model is actually very strong and very sustainable.
Thank you for your presentation. You'd mentioned $5,000 in operating costs per year for the Ecodome. Could you break that down?
Yes.
Thank you.
So this includes the salaries of 2 people who are gonna make sure the center is managed throughout the years. It also includes the electricity, internet, and energy bill, and also some of the costs related to the maintenance of the center and buying all the equipment for it.
Thank you. Can you talk about the technology transfer aspect? Because both of your projects involve the basic transfer of technology. I've seen the Ecoheat applied in different places. How did you adopt it to the needs that you saw? And what kind of engineering adjustments did you make as far as making the technology locally accessible?
Okay, so first, Ecoheat is used based on cellulose wiring, which is known for its high heat retention capacity. The concept is quite simple, and it's very ecological and very sustainable. So the form of our bags, it makes it sure that the only temperature won't go on the outside, and it would be maintained inside. So the meals would be cooked independently and using its only first initial temperature. For the use of Ecoheat, for Fatma, for example, our beneficiary, she could reduce her energy consumption to 30% and her exposure to toxic fumes to 0%. So now, and like hundreds of families who are now using the bags, they're saving 6 tons of gas, which is a total amount of $2,000.
I would also like to add that the life expectancy of the product is estimated to 3 years.
And I would also like to add about Ecodome. Ecodome is a form of a dome, and domes are really known for the fact that they are very strong and very stable. Just to give an example, so let's say that there is a wind coming, so if it's like a rectangular structure, the wind is going to hit directly. But if it's a dome, then it's going to go all around the dome, and it's not going to affect it as if it was very rectangular. So that's the engineering behind it.
And also for the women who are working on the project, we've already trained 10 women to be able to produce the bag for themselves and also generate that. So they're selling the bags independently of us, and they could sell so far a lot of bags.
Thank you. Can I just ask another question about the business structure in Ecodome? Are you people the shareholders then of the construction company? And do you set it up explicitly to be a totally for-profit?
I'm sorry. Your time has expired. Judges, please join me in thanking Morocco for the presentation and hard work.